Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
This the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Program.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 392 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by former heavyweight world title challenger, my best friend. It is of course Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing this week, my man?
I'm doing good, my brother. How about you?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. Always good when speaking with you. Let's dive straight into the review part of the show. We're going to start here with a card that I was actually at last Friday, April the 14th, at the York Hall, Bethnal Green. A bit of a small card, really. I think there only ended up being about 6 fights or something on the card. So I'm going to run through a couple of the undercard fights. We're gonna discuss here Lisa Whiteside losing her O. She's now 5-1. She lost a unanimous decision over 10 2-minute rounds for the vacant Commonwealth Super Bantamweight title against a female fighter that I'd never heard of actually, called Tycee Gallagher, who is now 6-1. Tycee Gallagher, her sole defeat was a split, if I'm not mistaken, to Nina Hughes, who's a current world champion. So she was the slight favourite, actually, despite Whiteside, being the probably the better known fighter and obviously being undefeated and stuff. But yeah, Tycee Gallagher, good jab, really good movement, and it's, like I said, it's the first time I'd heard of her, first time I've seen her fight, and she was quite impressive actually. Had a lot of people in attendance cheering her on and stuff, and it was really a good display, and I'm now a fan of hers. Tycee Gallagher, certainly one to look out for there. Moving up the card once again, Danny Dignam with a win, a points win against the late addition to the card. I think he stepped in on late notice, Lucas Masic, who is always quite durable, now 28-6 with a draw. An 8th round points win there for Danny Dignam, now 16-1 with a draw. He wasn't that impressive, he wasn't that impressive. I wasn't blown away really with Dignam. I thought it was a bit, I don't know, I guess an 8-rounder. He maybe didn't expect to go the whole 8, and this guy came in on late notice, I believe, and maybe just, I don't know, wasn't best prepared for it. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't super easy for Dignam, which, I don't know if it's concerning or what, but yeah. And elsewhere on the card as well, I wouldn't normally mention this, but I went to this card with my partner, and we were sat in, I think, about the 3rd row, and a guy walked to the ring to make his pro debut. Petrit Shehi, made his pro debut. I think he was from Albania, and the noise for this guy on his debut was incredible. Like, he had so many people there making. I mean, to be honest, it was really small. There wasn't a massive crowd at all. They actually shut the top deck in the York Hall, so it was just floor seats and standing. And the noise that they made for this fighter, Petrit Shehi, came out against Bradley Davies, who was a fighter that had a record of 0-2 with a draw. Ginger-haired, from Liverpool, and he looked about 55 years of age. And I was saying to my partner, I said, do you know what? If I was a matchmaker, I'm not going to put an undefeated, obviously, prospect having his pro debut. I'm not going to put him in with a guy who has only had 3 fights. He was 0-2 with a draw, like I say. But he's not exposed enough, for me to throw you in there if I'm a matchmaker with a debutant. I'm not going to throw him in with a guy who's only had 3 fights, even if he's lost all 3. Particularly though if there's a draw on there, that's a bit of a concern. What happened in that draw? Maybe, and I remember saying it before the first bell, I said maybe those fights he didn't have much notice for, maybe he's bang up for this fight here. Oh my God, it was almost as if I spoke it into existence. Bradley Davies ends up dropping Shehi, I think, in the second round. But Shehi, man, whenever the fight kind of heated up and both guys were throwing, Shehi would kind of like just start fighting like a guy who was involved in a pub brawl. You know, it was like real all attack, not thinking about what's going to come back, and that is what saw him get decked, I think, in the second round. And then, you know, he came out, I think, the round after that, and I believe he got stopped in like the third or fourth round or whatever. But anyways, the whole point of what I'm saying is I kind of called it. This guy Bradley Davies gets his first career win. He's now 1-2 with a draw. Fantastic stuff for him. But yeah, I was really gutted actually for Petr Shehi, because a lot of people were making noise for him. And extremely disappointing, you know, to lose on your debut by stoppage against a guy who had no wins. I mean, need I say more? It was terrible. But Bradley Davies, man, maybe he's earned himself another fight or two off the back of that. And the main event, Archie Sharp, friend of the show, friend of mine, now 23-0. I think we pretty much knew what was going to happen here. A unanimous decision over 10 rounds against the very tough Mauro Peruane, who is now 16-8 with a draw. Archie Sharp had to fight on his birthday. He turned 28. So it went to 10 rounds there. First fight for Archie Sharp under the guidance of new trainer Roy Jones Jr. I met with Archie just about 2 hours before he walked to the ring, went to his hotel, spoke with him in the foyer, and went there after the fight as well, and was able to just chat just briefly with Roy Jones, which was really cool. Obviously got a nice picture with Roy again. My good friend now is Roy Jones. It just seems so mad. It's crazy to see him, like, you know, in the York Hall doing a corner for Archie. It's just mad. But living legend. And Archie at times, to be honest, was a little bit flamboyant, a little bit in showman mode. I kept looking over at Roy. Roy had a big grin every time Archie would, you know, try and showboat, and it's not really Archie's style, I don't think. But then I did speak to Archie afterwards, and he was saying that's how I used to box in the amateurs. I haven't really done it as a pro. But yeah, I mean, whatever works for him. He didn't really take any silly risks, and he won, you know, obviously the majority of the rounds. Maybe you could have gave the other guy maybe 2 or 3 rounds at best or something. So tough guy, was never going to go anywhere, I don't think. But one step at a time for Archie. It's a keep busy fight. Like I say, he was fighting on his birthday there. He'd been out of the ring for about 11 months, so obviously there was a bit of ring rust, and it's not the fight he wanted. And obviously he had his wife and his kids sat in the front row as well. It's a lot going on in a small venue there. So all the best to him, and hopefully we see him out very soon. Moving out now to the Polideportivo Vicente Trueba in Torrelavega, Cantabria, España. I didn't want to go in too heavy on the accent this week because I just don't want to. It's my show and I make the rules. But Oscar Arlin on the undercard, we spoke about him briefly last week. He was able to rack up a win. He's now 24-2, a unanimous decision over 8 rounds against Vicente Martin Rodriguez, and also returned to the ring for Sergio Garcia in what I think was his first fight back since losing a very suspicious decision to Teofimo Lopez. He's now 34-2, a unanimous decision over 10 rounds against Argentina's Ricardo Cabana, who's now 8-2. Moving out now, though, to the Copper Box Arena. Wow, this was a shock, Eddie. I'm going to come to you in a moment for the main event, so hold your thoughts, but I'm going to run through the undercard real quick here. Moses Italma, 2-0 now, 3-0. I did say it's definitely worth betting on Italma to go the distance. He had 2 first-round knockouts in his previous 2 fights, but he was getting in there with the very, very tough Konstantin Dovbychenko, who is now 9-13 with a draw, still never been stopped. I think Moses Italma fought quite aggressively in the first round and probably the second round as well, maybe even the third round. I think he said he hurt his hand though in round 2, but yeah, he seemed to slow down a little bit, but I think he just realised this guy's not going to go anywhere. But he did land some really big shots in the first round and like I said, the second round as well. And I thought, wow, I'm not sure if this guy's going to be able to take these shots for the whole 6. And I don't know if Itauma's hand played a part or whatever, but yeah, I mean, he was tough. He'd been in with much more seasoned professionals that knock everyone out and couldn't knock him out. So yeah, like I say, guys, I said to put a little bit of change on Itauma to win on points, and there we go. It came in with relative ease. He didn't drop Dovichenko or nothing like that, so hopefully you'll listen to me there. Moving up the card once again, Michaela Mayer, now 18-1, friend of the show. She got in there with late replacement, really late replacement. I think she had about 24 hours. Lucy Wildheart, who is now 10-2. It was for the interim WBC World Lightweight title. What an opportunity there for Wildheart, but obviously not under, the best circumstances. It did go 10 2-minute rounds. Mayer, she was only boxing in the UK because she wanted to fight, I've completely forgot her name right now, but the lady that beat Alicia Baumgardner. Obviously, something happened last minute, and the British Boxing Board of Control decided to not sanction the fight. And again, I should know why, and I feel like I did know why, but at this moment, while we're recording this, I've completely forgotten why. But yeah, the fighter was, I think, Christina Linadatu, and I'm sure that was her name, but anyway, whatever. I can't remember what happened now, and yeah, they didn't sanction it, and there was a lot of uproar, and I can understand why. We wanted that fight. There was a reason for that fight. There wasn't much of a reason, but for Mayer to fight Lucy Wildheart. But like I say, credit to Top Rank and the gang for scrambling a last minute replacement to step in. And a good fighter as well, Lucy Wildheart. But yeah, she gave it a good go. Tough, obviously, but Mayer way too good in all areas. And moving up the card once again, we had him on last week's show, Sam Noakes. I said he'd probably get the stoppage early in the fight within the first 6, and he got it within the first 2. It was for the Commonwealth and WBC International Silver Lightweight titles. Sam Noakes went in there, shown no respect at all to the undefeated Indian Karthik Kumar, now 10-1. Tried to bang him out in the first round. He did actually have him down in the first round, but yeah, got him out in round 2. Yeah, brutal performance from Sam Noakes, 11-0, 11 KOs. I think very much becoming one of the most exciting fighters to watch, really, around his kind of level in the UK. I mean, yeah, every single time he's delivered a knockout. It's not something we see all the time at lightweight, so he's bringing a lot of excitement to that division, and I think there's some great fights domestically that can be made. Hopefully we see them and politics don't get in the way. We want to see him fighting for the British title against the winner of this week's contest. Obviously we're going to get to that in the preview part of the show, but the fight between Gavin Gwynn and Craig Woodruff. So we want to see him in with the winner there. Moving up the card once again, Denzel Bentley, man. I did say again on last week's show, it's almost like I called every single result here apart from the main event. Denzel Bentley, I said he'd probably knock out Kieran Smith. I wasn't entirely sure he'd do it as early as he did, though. He got him out in one round. It was such a brilliant performance from Denzel Bentley. Yeah, I think he seemed to hit Kieran Smith with a right hand, and then I think it was a left hook, and then followed by a right hand. But the left hook, if I'm not mistaken, did the damage. Yeah, bit of a delayed reaction, and then bang, puts him down. Denzel Bentley now 18-2 with a draw. Just showed there that he's moved up to world level against Janibek, and then he's come straight back to British title level, kept his British middleweight title, and dispatched of a decent fighter in Kieran Smith. I did say that, it's a worthy British title fight, this one, against two good fighters, but he got him out of there like he was nothing, and on to the next one. He's going to try and win the belt outright. Kieran Smith now 18-2, tough loss for him, man. And moving to the main event, I'm going to come to you straight away, Eddie. Joe Joyce now 15-1. What a blunder here. It was a risky fight now, in hindsight, looking back. It was a risk I don't think he had to take. Zilil Zhang, obviously of China, but based these days in New Jersey, up by you. He's now 25-1 with a draw. Like I say, for the interim WBO World Heavyweight title, Joyce with the damaged eye. The fight ends up getting stopped by the doctor/referee. It was a bit kind of weird. They didn't know they didn't. I don't think either of them really wanted to call it, but yeah, an absolute shock, Eddie. We said that Hrgovic had the style to cause Zhang nightmares, and we were sure about it, or I certainly was. But with Joyce, we both were 100% sure that he would beat Zhang, and we were wrong again. I don't know what to say. Every time Zhang fights, he costs me money.
Yeah, listen, Big Bang Zhang. He's killing. He's banging your pockets out right now, Joe. Nah, but really, I think it's just we disrespected him a little bit. Didn't give him as much of a chance as we should have gave him. Honestly, probably gave Joe a little bit too much credit. And I've always said this, and I said this in the past. And I at first when I watched Joe, I'd be like, damn, he's tough, but I just don't see it. It's like, you think about George Foreman and the power he had. I think George Foreman was faster. You know what I'm saying? It's just hard for me to see, the big mystique of why, Joe Joyce is so, he's just so dominating, in a lot of these fights. I mean, I understand it. He outlasts guys. He outworks them. He's still there after, rounds of pounding and most heavyweights aren't used to that kind of steady pace throughout the fight with no back step. And I think that was really what his benefit was. But with Zhang obviously punches a lot harder than people really give him credit for. And, they say he's a puncher, but I think he's not, thought of as much of a puncher as he is. Because you've seen Daniel Dubois crack Joe Joyce. We've seen, what's my man's name? Former champ. Joe Parker. Joe Parker. All of these guys have put their hands, and they're all considered good punchers against Joe Joyce's chin, and he would deal with it without really being hurt. This is the first time I've really seen him like, oh my goodness, yeah, he was hurt, like visibly, like none of that, like he was buzzed. No, he was clearly hurt. Like, if Zhang landed another couple of shots, it might have been over type hurt. So it was like, okay, we saw that, a bit of that, but even then, he was still hanging around, even though he took multiple good left hands from Zhilei Zhang throughout the fight. He still was hanging around, and I think had the fight gone later, maybe he would have started to, gain that, control that we would have expected, but shit, maybe Zhilei Zhang would have hit him again and hurt him even more. Maybe got him out of there. We don't know, but the eye was becoming a problem, and I just think, I don't want to say Joe Joyce is overrated because he's beat guys who got names. He's beat a guy who has a title now. He beat a guy who had a title, in Joe Parker, and he seemed to have beaten those guys soundly and pretty comfortably. But then he comes into this fight, and once again, Zhang, shocked us, and it just looks to be, more the goods than we give him credit for. You know what I mean? Even with the fight with Hrgovic, he should have won that fight, I think. So I think we need to start really giving him the credit that he deserves. I think he's a legitimate contender for a real shot, obviously beating Joe Joyce. Would he be able to beat Joe Joyce twice? I don't know. Maybe he caught him with a good shot early, caught him a little cold. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to take anything away from Zhang. I think he won his fair and square, clean, and won it handily. But like I said, Joe Joyce's thing is distance, I think. You know what I mean? I think over a course of a 10 to 12 round fight, he going into the later rounds is where he really starts to shine. And I think that's where we were thinking Zhang would come off the rails a little bit and get a little tired and, and kind of give it up. But, man, I'm happy for him. Couldn't be a nicer guy, tough guy, good fighter, really respectable individual, man. I think it couldn't happen to a better person. But can he sustain it? Is he going to go to the next logical step and make it and actually get a really serious big money fight that is winnable, or is he going to fight Joe again? And he has to prove that he can do it again if he has to fight Joe Joyce again. But I don't know, man. It's a shock, but at the same time, maybe we shouldn't be so surprised because he's done it before.
Yeah, he certainly has done it before. I've watched a lot of Zhang's fights, pretty much every fight in a row for the last God knows how many now, and I'll never forget when he boxed Jerry Forrest, and Jerry Forrest, it was such a tough fight. Jerry Forrest almost had Zhang out of there, and then after the fight decided to do a backflip, which was so annoying because he looked tired as hell but had enough energy to do a backflip after 10 rounds, and then called out Anthony Joshua and was celebrating the draw, which was a mad thing, and that's obviously Zhang's only draw, but that's another story. I just want to go over it. I mean, this is going to be controversial, I think, for some listeners, so strap yourselves in. Round 1, obviously Zhang, started the round really well, very, very confident as well. I was quite surprised at how confident he was in the first round. He didn't freeze. He wasn't, overwhelmed by the opportunity or anything. Had Joe Joyce in front of him, knocking everyone out. Big guy, obviously brilliant. Engine, all the rest of it. He's got a fantastic reputation through the amateurs and the pros now. And he didn't seem like he was overwhelmed at all. Got in there extremely confident. Hit Joyce with some good shots. And I thought to myself straight away, and you can ridicule this if you want, Eddie, and give me some constructive criticism or whatever, but straight away in the first round, I tweeted it at the time. I said, if I'm Joyce, or if I'm the corner of Joyce, whatever, I think he should get on his bike for a round or two. He shouldn't be walking straight to Zhang. It was clear that Zhang was in the mood to come forward, and obviously he was pushing Joyce back a lot, and we don't see Joyce in that position too much. Eddie, just mute yourself a sec. I'll come to you in a sec. Round 2, obviously, that's when you touched on it as well. Joe Joyce got rocked, heavy. His nose was all blooded. He was struggling, like I say, with the size of Zhang, who made him look small a little bit there, and also the strength of Zhang. There's no denying he's a real strong, big, strong guy. And after being wobbled, I will say I think he closed the round quite strongly, but again, you had to give the first 2 to Zhang. Now, here's where I think it starts getting a bit controversial. Round 3, I felt, was a much better round for Joe Joyce. I think he used his range better. He upped the pace. Zhang couldn't really hang with him in terms of the pace and the output. Joyce was using his jab, which I think was, effective. He was not always putting much power behind it as well. It was kind of like tippity tappity type of jabs, but they were point scoring shots, and he was getting through the guard of the Chinaman. And I thought, this is what we need to see. Doesn't need to load up, doesn't need to stand and trade with him. He's already done that in the first 2 rounds. Just touch him with a jab and keep it moving, frustrate him, dance around him in circles. But obviously that's not Joyce's natural style. He wants to come forward like a slow wrecking ball machine. He's not a guy who's gonna, dance around, like I say, make Zhang miss, keep him moving, give him angles. He's not that type of fighter at all, and he's not got great feet, Joe Joyce, obviously. But again, I thought he had a good round in round 3. I gave him that round. Round 4, I gave to Joyce as well. I felt he was starting to go to the body of Zhang a lot, which again, I thought was good tactics, but sometimes he would stand right in front of Zhang and land a 4 or 5 punch combination all to the body and completely neglect the defense upstairs, and he'd get caught because he'd stand in front of Zhang for too long. I felt he needed to get in and out rather than stand right in front of him and throw these slow combinations where he was leaving himself open to be countered upstairs, and that is what was happening. He was getting clocked again and again and again. Obviously, the money punch, I think, for Zhang was that straight left hand. Even like a lead left hand, his backhand, his power shot. But yeah, I did think going to the body was a smart tactic from Joyce, but obviously we didn't get to see it fully play out. But I felt it was a good tactic, but you can't stand there and throw that many in a row. You've got to throw 1 and 2, get out. Don't stand there in front of him, right in front of him, in range, and throw 4 or 5, leaving yourself completely open at all times. So yeah, I had it 2-2 after 4. Round 5, I gave to Joyce. Again, I know this might be controversial. I felt he was outworking Zhang, who already, in my opinion, seemed like he was getting a bit tired. And I've seen Zhang fight, like I say, many times, and his gas tank is atrocious. And I was starting to see him I think, certainly dip a little bit there. And for me, I've wrote here in my notes, it's going according to the script now. This is it. Joe Joyce is going to take over from this point onwards, and he's going to get the late stoppage that everyone predicted. But obviously, his eye was getting worse and worse. And then obviously, round 6, Howard Foster had the doctor check Joyce's eye immediately as soon as the round began, before he took a shot. And then again, throughout the rest of that round, kept looking at the eye and called the doctor in once again for the second time in that round, which is never a good look. It usually means that the referee's saying, are you sure? Do you want to have another look? Do you want another chance to stop this fight? And obviously that's when he had the doctor had a word in the referee's ear, and Howard Foster, I think it was Howard Foster, he stopped the fight. And yeah, I felt that Zhang kind of escaped with the victory. Obviously, it goes down as a knockout. The eye was terrible, and there's no problem with that. I don't have a problem with that, but I do think it was. I think Joyce was taking over, but then I've seen some people have it 5 rounds to nothing for Zhang. I don't know. There was one person, I can't remember who it was. It might have been a judge. I think we saw the scorecard. Someone had it 3-2 to Joyce. That's exactly how I had it, but I saw a lot of people going crazy about that 3-2 scorecard. So I guess you're all gonna go crazy at me when you hear me say it. Eddie, thoughts on what I'm saying? I feel like you need to dance around Zhang. You don't want to meet him head on, especially early on in the fight. And I did think that Joyce standing right in front of him, throwing 4 or 5 punch combinations to the body, leaving himself open, was absolutely crazy.
Honestly, I think 100% spot on, Joe. 100%. Honestly, I didn't even think of that. Really, I'm going to be honest, but I can see Joe moving around him, you know what I mean, keeping distance, you know what I mean, maybe peppering, not necessarily trying to land any thunder, keeping him busy with his hands, staying out of range, just not really letting him get fully to him, but at the same time still making him work a little bit, so you can wear that tank, that low gas tank all the way down before you start to really attack. I agree with that. I think that if Joe would have done that, his eye probably wouldn't have got so beat up to the point of not being able to continue. And I don't disagree totally with the scorecard. I mean, I don't know, maybe, there's a round or two that could have been, the other direction. You know what I mean? Maybe some of the shots that Zhang was landing, even though it was few at times, and Joe was being much more active and landing more shots. The Zhang shots were probably a little more like showy, and that's probably why some of those people looked at those rounds that you might have been given, or the other guys were giving them, and saying that they really think that Zhang should have won those rounds. But I could see why you said what you said. It was kind of going to script once you started to realize that he started to slow down a bit, wasn't throwing as many punches, and when you say escape with it, I mean that it's kind of like when I was watching him and Hrgovic. You know what I mean? I think in that fight, Hrgovic escaped with the win, and it was a little different there. But you could see with Zhang, even though he toughed it out, he was exhausted, completely exhausted. Because if he wasn't, he should have probably got Hrgovic out of it. And in this situation, if it wasn't for Joe's eye, it might be singing a different song. Might have been saying, "Oh man, Joe Joyce, what a comeback!" You know what I mean? After being hurt and beat like that early on, to come back and then stop Zhang or win a decision would have been, probably what we'd be talking about. But yeah, and when I was watching it, I started to notice that a little bit, like, he's starting to slow down. It's kind of, not going in the direction that he would have wanted. If I was to think that Zhang was going to win, it would have been an early stoppage or a situation like this. And yeah, I think what your analysis was pretty good. I think, maybe a round or two might have been a swing round or two where, maybe Zhang got it over Joe because of the impact of the shots. But, yeah, you can see, like I said, what happens normally with Joe Joyce. The only thing is he took damage. He was actually hurt in this fight. So it kind of showed that there's, he can be hurt. He can be taken off his pedestal a little bit. You know what I mean? So does Zhang beat him again? I don't know. Maybe this confidence with Zhang may put him in a situation where it's kind of hard to beat a guy, to beat him in this situation. I don't know. But like you said, Joe Joyce was definitely starting to pick the pace up and doing what his normal thing was, but just couldn't escape. couldn't escape out of there with the win. So unfortunately, we gotta, we're looking at it different, and we're gonna see what happens. I mean, like I said, I'm happy for Zhang. Couldn't have been a better thing for a better person, but we'll see. Maybe they rematch. I mean, I think it would be good for Joe to rematch, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Zhang as well. You can't begrudge him this win. I think he definitely landed the more eye-catching shots throughout the contest for sure. Like I said, I think Joe nicked a couple rounds just on activity and stuff like that, but no, 100%. And the scorecard's not so much, important in the end, obviously. So yeah, happy for Zhang. Joe Joyce, 37 years of age. He's going to be 38, I think, in September. Talking of the rematch, yeah, there is a rematch clause, and I think that's the only fight that Joe can have. He needs to come back and avenge this loss, otherwise he may as well forget it. I know that sounds extremely harsh. It's his first loss, but, he's getting up there in age. As for Zhang, like I say, I've always been critical of his just everything about his game. I've never rated him too much, but obviously styles make fights, and he got in there with another big heavyweight who was a bit smaller than him, who maybe didn't hit as hard as him, and who was probably about as slow as him. And because of that, there were so many close factors that he actually looked good in this fight, and some people were more impressed with him, and I think people are actually overrating him a little bit. Like I say, I've seen him in with a mix of different styles. Someone like, and I don't want to sound like an absolute casual here, Eddie, but I feel like to beat Zhang, you've got to be quick and you've got to have good power. And, someone that springs to mind for me would be, this is going to sound so casual, but like David Haye. I think David Haye would have obliterated Zhang in about 3 rounds. Someone like a Michael Hunter, I know this is starting to sound extremely biased, but someone like a Michael Hunter, smaller guy, much more speed than Zhang, I think he would probably stop Zhang late. Obviously doesn't have the one punch kind of power that Haye had. Someone like yourself, Eddie, as well, really fast hands. I think basically speed, fast hands, and a bit of power, I think beat Zhang. Usyk I'd probably put in the conversation as well if I didn't already say him. Even someone like a Daniel Dubois, who obviously you mentioned Joyce beat. It's a tougher one to pick actually, that one, but Dubois I think's got a bit of hand speed, can certainly bang. I'd probably favour him over Zhang. There's a few guys I'd favour over Zhang, but like I say, Joyce I really rate as one of the top heavyweights, but the styles just I mean, before the fight, I thought that the styles were terrible for Zhang, and then when I saw them both in the ring, I thought that the styles were terrible for Joyce. So I don't know if I don't know. What does that say about me?
Honestly, Joe, it's the aesthetics when you look at Joe Joyce. A lot of times that he doesn't please you necessarily with how he looks initially. It's the consistency with him. It's the same thing with Bashir, my guy Bashir, a good friend now, Igor. He's not the flashiest, but his consistency and him being around and him willing to punch with you just makes it difficult, which is what puts him in that class. You understand what I'm saying? That's why Joe Joyce is so difficult for guys to deal with. You know what I mean? Like for like a Dubois and some other guys that he's beat. But for some reason, Zhang was able to land the shot. I don't know why. But, and I agree with you 100% with, depending on the style, the difficult style. A guy like myself, David Haye, 100%. When you said David Haye, and I know you said, it's like, oh, I'm sounding like a casual. No. I agree with that statement because David Haye has enough power and enough speed, more than enough, but you understand what I'm saying, to cause him big problems in the fight. And Zhang, I don't know, I haven't really seen a lot of, even with Hrgovic, I didn't really see him hurt, but I'm pretty sure Haye punches hard enough. Okay. I'm sure that David Haye could hurt him because David Haye can punch with the best of them. So yeah, 100% agree with that analysis. These types of things happen in boxing where you expect one result and something else completely different out of left field happens. That's why we have to watch. That's why fighting on paper isn't a thing. You got to fight in the ring.
There we go. Well said, Eddie. And yeah, like I say, there's nowhere else for Joe Joyce to go but the rematch. and he better win that rematch, otherwise that's it. And Zhang, I don't know if they already worked out what he would get paid for the rematch, but he should now be sitting firm on that and saying, I want a pay rise, because they will pay him whatever he wants to get him back over here to give Joe a chance at avenging that loss. But anyway, let's move on, because we've given a lot of time to that Copper Box card. Moving now to the final card to mention of the review part of the show. We're going to go here to the Loom Color Phoenix Center in Ontario, California, USA. I did say this guy is certainly one to watch. He gets another knockout in the first round. Ernesto Mercado, now 10-0 with 10 KOs. It was for the NABA super lightweight title. He knocked out in just one round Hank Lundy, now 31-13 with a draw. Off the back of that, Hank has decided to retire from boxing. I'm not entirely sure if this is the first or second time he's done that. I think he might have come out of retirement once or twice before. But anyways, hopefully that's it for him. I don't think he's got too much more to offer. He's in bad form now. I think he's lost about 4 or 5 of his last 6 fights, and yeah, he's getting stopped now in first rounds against Mercado, and in 2 rounds by Robbie Davies Jr. when he came over here, which was just an unbelievable one actually at the time. But yeah, Ernesto Mercado is gonna go places in the sport. I definitely think he will. He is obliterating everyone right now. So yeah, exciting for him. But anyway, that is it though for the review part of the show. Just before we close out this part, it's now time for me to welcome this week's special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the undefeated, undisputed super lightweight world champion and my personal favourite female fighter of them all. It is, of course, Miss Chantelle Cameron. Chantelle, welcome back on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me back on. It's always a pleasure.
Always my pleasure, Chantelle. So we last spoke back in September of last year. It was a few weeks before the Abu Dhabi fight against Jessica McCaskill. Just briefly, talk me through that fight. Obviously, she came down in weight. She was an undisputed champion at the weight above. And to be completely honest, particularly early on in that fight, you beat her up with ease.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a... It weren't my best fight, I don't think. I think it's hard to look good against Jessica McCaskill because of her style. So it's one of them fights where I won't watch back and be like, oh, what a good performance. So, but I got the win. That was the main thing. And it was easier than what I expected. I think she's just very raw, very doghouse. And she's good at what she does. And you can see why she's had a lot of wins and a lot of success, because what she does do is effective, but I was just a little bit more cuter than her and knew how to disarm her kind of thing.
That was excellent and fantastic as well to see you finally get the chance to become undisputed after all the messing around, obviously. Yeah. Not on your side, but on other fighters' sides. On to the big one, yeah. I mean, I can't believe it's happening. May 20th in Dublin, Ireland. You've just answered my first question. I was going to say, firstly, Chantelle, I know for a fact that you genuinely believed with every bone in your body this fight would never happen. How happy are you that it's finally happening?
Oh, literally, I can't believe it's happening. I think sometimes I lay in bed and I have to just take a moment and be like, is this actually real? Am I actually getting the opportunity to finally box Katie Taylor? And I have to keep on telling myself that. And it's mad because I was on a plane to Tenerife the other day, and there was loads of photos. And as you do board on the plane, I was deleting photos, and the amount of photos of articles and stuff, it was always about Chantelle fighting Katie Taylor, and statements that if Chantelle does this, she'll fight Katie Taylor. If Chantelle does that, she'll get a shot at Katie Taylor. And I mean, these are old pictures that I was going through, and it made me think, wow, this has been a long time coming. And it was only things like that where I actually think this has been a big build up for me personally, because I feel like my whole career has kind of been waiting for this opportunity, and I honestly never thought it would happen.
Yeah, and obviously you say that there was all these things. If you do this, you'll get the Katie Taylor fight. If you do this, it turned out that to get the Katie Taylor fight, Amanda Serrano needed to get injured. Obviously you've stepped in as a replacement, Chantelle. If Serrano didn't get injured, you still believe in this fight would have never taken place?
No, because there was talks about me fighting Katie in September, but there was talks about me fighting Katie in September. So I kind of was like, the fight could potentially happen, but you know what boxing's like. It's okay talking about a fight, but until you sign the contract and it's announced, then the fight's probably not going to happen. So again, it was a step further than what I'm used to. That the fact that I was actually getting numbers put in front of me and a contract kind of being planned to be made. So that was one step further than I've ever been. But I kind of was a bit like apprehensive with if Serrano beat Katie, would I still fight Katie? Would someone else jump? You know what I mean? Like, it's okay talking, but until it's actually signed, sealed, and delivered, then it's all talk.
Yeah, you definitely can't plan too far ahead in boxing, obviously. And obviously the fight takes place in Ireland. From what I've heard, Katie's like Muhammad Ali in Ireland. I mean, everyone loves her. I'm guessing that you're expecting a real hostile crowd May 20th.
Definitely, yeah, definitely expecting a hostile crowd. But I think I'm going to relish in that as well. I think I like proving people wrong, and I think I get a buzz out of that as well. So for me, I'm gonna relish in it. I'm gonna use it as fuel.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I remember you actually fighting in the States, and obviously the crowd was against you there, and it was one of your best performances actually. So yeah, for sure. One advantage you do have is obviously that the fight's at 140. Katie's moving up. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think fair play to Katie for taking the fight the way above, because she could have easily said, right, Chantelle, come back down to lightweight. And I think she's only boxed once at super lightweight. So to be fair, I've got nothing but good things to say about Katie. She's shown that she's willing to fight anyone. She's game as fuck, basically. And she's stepping up to my weight to fight for my belt.
Yeah, and obviously you've got 3 inches on her in height. I think you've definitely got the edge in power, in punching power as well. I want to ask you now that you said there that she could have easily said, Chantelle, meet me at 135. I'm going to whisper this. Would you have gone?
Yeah, I would have. I would have, because the fact that I'd never would have got the opportunity to fight Katie, so I would have done anything to make sure that I got the fight. It's always been the fight that I wanted, the fight that I believed myself to win. So for me, it's the biggest fight that I'll probably ever have, and I would have done anything to make sure the fight was happening. So if they said yes, go down to lightweight, I would have had to do it.
There we go. That's top secret info.
Yeah.
But by the time this interview goes out, and actually you're already in Tenerife. I'm guessing you're not over there to catch a nice suntan. So what's the plan? Well,
I have got a tan actually. I've got a few hours in the sun today.
There we go.
We're training out here. We're running up the mountains with altitude training and just a bit of warm weather training. And only got here yesterday. It's the first day training today. So I'm living out here already.
And how long are you out there for, Chantelle?
Just for 6 days. I'm back at the end of the week.
Okay, lovely jubbly. Okay. Any sparring out there, or just, conditioning?
Yeah, I'll be doing a bit of sparring with Jack Catterall.
Oh, lovely. Okay, excellent. Great that Jack's over there as well. Finally, Chantelle, how does this fight go? I'm sure that you've probably already envisioned it. You probably envisioned it years ago. But yeah, just picture it. It's so close now. It's only a matter of weeks. We're going to see thousands of Irish fans in attendance. 2 undefeated female fighters at the top of their game. 2 of the best in the world. How does the fight end, Chantelle?
So my hand's going to be raised, and still undisputed world champion. I really believe I'm going to get the win.
I do too, actually, and I think it's going to be a fabulous fight while it lasts. My final 2 questions, just about 2 other completely irrelevant things. Good undercard fight, actually. Terry Harper against Cecilia Braekhus.
Yeah, very some choke then. Yeah, very good fight. Very, very good fight. Both good fighters. Obviously, Cecilia Braekhus, very experienced, great champion. She lost to McCaskill on 2 close fights. I couldn't call it, to be honest. I think yeah, I can't call that fight. What do you think?
I think it's a great fight. I think, they can't afford to overlook Braekhus, obviously former pound-for-pound fighter. Only really lost, like you say, to McCaskill in recent years. And Terry Harper, I still cannot believe that she's moved up about 4 weight classes. She looks unbelievably good up at 154. But this is a massive jump in class.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And, styles make fights. And Cecilia Braekhus had 2 close fights with McCaskill, and being in with McCaskill, I know that she's a powerful girl and she's a pure roughhouse. So do you know what I mean? Styles make fights, and Cecilia Braekhus definitely has the class there. And Terry Styles she's not a big puncher, she's not roughhouse, she's not high work rate. So Styles make fights. So yeah, so I can't call it. I think it's an intriguing fight. They're both very technical boxers.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's going to be great. It just adds to the brilliant card overall. And obviously, you were travelling, so I don't know if you saw it or not. But did you happen to see Joe Joyce last night?
No, I've actually I've come off social media and that, so I've kind of had my head down, but no, I've not watched it. No.
You heard what happened though, right?
I did get told. I'm quite shocked. I'm really, really shocked. I'm gonna have to watch it. I'm gonna have to catch up on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely give that a look, obviously, his eye.
Good to Joe Joyce, what a lovely guy he is, and there was so much going for him as well. Like the people were saying that he's got the potential to beat Usyk, beat AJ. So it's just a slip of his boxing, ain't it? Especially heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Obviously, you think of his age, he's got to do something now. And just finally, Chantelle, before we let you go, if you've got any closing words just to the listeners, obviously we won't speak again till after the fight. So if you've got a closing message at all before we let you go, I know you're not doing too much media at the minute, so I appreciate you doing this massively.
Yeah, just tune in May the 20th. I think no matter the outcome, obviously I'm going to say I'm going to win, but it is going to be a cracking fight. It is undefeated versus undefeated, undisputed versus undisputed, and that in itself is just going to make for a cracking fight, and I can't wait. Can't wait to be in there. Can't wait to get the job done and make a massive statement and ruin the homecoming.
Yeah, it really is a true super fight. Doesn't matter if it's women's boxing or men's boxing. This is one of the best fights, in my opinion, that can be made across both genders of the sport. Listen, Chantelle, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time. Best of luck May 20th in Dublin, and we'll speak sometime afterwards.
Thank you so much. Have a good night as well.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. We're going to start here with this one. It's a card that's been announced for York Hall. It's going to be live on Sky. It's a boxer show over here. We're going to see Adam Azim, 8-0. He gets in with Aram Fanian, who is 22-1. A Ukrainian fighter. His one loss came to Rene Giron, who was 11-0 at the time, back in 2018. I don't think he ever rematched him. He's coming off a win last time out against Timo Schwarzkopf. That's probably the only name I recognise on his record, to be totally honest with you. But yeah, he hasn't boxed for it was a year and a half ago, that Timo Schwarzkopf fight. So yeah, they're saying it's going to be the toughest test for Adam Azim on paper. However, I think last time that fight against Santos Reyes, that was a tough test for him. But yeah, we're going to see how he looks. On the undercard, there's a couple of decent fights actually. We're going to see Fraser Clark out, no opponent just yet for him. We're also going to see Vidal Riley getting in there in a rematch against Anis Taj. There was a lot of bad blood in the build-up to the first fight. Vidal Riley got the knockout in round 4. I don't really think there was any need for this rematch, to be honest with you, because Anis Taj actually looked quite dangerous. He can certainly punch, if nothing else. He looked quite dangerous in the first fight, and Vidal Riley landed some really great shots, actually, that Taj took really, really well. And I think the fight ended up getting stopped. I think it was on a cut, if I'm not mistaken. The doctor, I think, stopped it. I think it was a cut eye or something like that. So that was why it got stopped. But if I'm Vidal Riley, I'm not giving this guy a rematch. You know, just move on. You beat him. You landed some great shots. You definitely won. If it would have gone to scorecards, you'd have won. But reality was, it was quite a tough fight at times, and he gets him out of there with a cut. So run a million miles away. Why give the guy a rematch? Don't think there's any point, but he's doing it, so credit to him. And also on the card, this one's going to be really, really good for the vacant WBC International Middleweight title. We're going to see Aaron McKenna, 16-0, the Irish prospect. He gets in with Shaquille Thompson, 10-0. So somebody's own must go there. I think it's a great fight, that one, and that is at the York Hall, like I say, Bethnal Green, London, live on Sky Sports, and that is going down on Saturday, June the 10th. I'm not sure if tickets are on sale just yet. I think they go on sale this week. I think it could be tomorrow that they go on sale. And anyway, in other news, the final piece of news to mention is that Matchroom have announced a card for July the 1st. We're going to see Dalton Smith get in there with Sam Maxwell. That, of course, is for Dalton's British super lightweight title. I think the Commonwealth title's on the line as well. I'm not entirely sure who holds that belt there, but anyway, British and Commonwealth titles on the line. Should be a good one there. I'd favour Dalton Smith actually, but it could be interesting as well because, like I say, we've got Adam Azim and Dalton Smith both on a collision course. Both didn't look good last time out, and both have announced their next fights in the same week, so it's a bit mad. But anyway, all the best to everyone there. Moving on now to the preview part of the show. We're going to start here in Poland at the G2A arena in I'm not even going to try. It's in Poland. Over here, we've got heavyweight Martin Bakole, 18-1, the one loss, of course, to Michael Hunter at York Hall. He gets in with a Polish fighter called Ihor Siewadzewski, who is 10-0 with 8 KOs. Got a couple of decent fighters as well on his record. Last time out, I think it was last time out at least. Could be wrong about that. Let me just double check. I know he's been in there with, one of the toughest heavyweights in the game. Kamil Sokolowski beat him. It wasn't last time out, it was the time before that. Beat him narrowly over 6 rounds. He also has a win last time out against Kevin Kingpin Johnson. Went the distance with both of those guys there. That's the 2 times he's gone the distance. Other than that, he put together 8 knockouts in a row. Gets in there with Martin Bakole. For some reason, I think it could go the distance. And if it does go the distance, I could see them possibly robbing Bakole. I know that's a bit of a mad shout, but this guy Siewadzewski, he's about 12-1 to win on points. Otherwise, maybe Bakole on points. I don't know, but I just wouldn't be surprised if they rob Bakole. I think he's an easy fighter to rob, as a lot of African fighters are. Unfortunately, it's just the way it goes. They don't bring a massive crowd over. They're boxing in an obscure location somewhere in Eastern Europe. It's easy to do it, and that's just the dirtiness of the game. But that's how it is. But yeah, it could go the distance. That one there. That's probably good money for that to happen. So I think, my pick would probably be that the fight goes the distance, just a small play. But I do want to highlight that's a massive price for the home fighter to get a hometown decision, and Bakole would be the perfect guy to do it to, unfortunately. And the main event, though, I thought it was for a Bridgerweight world title, maybe not, but Lukas Rozanski, 14-0 with 13 of them by KO. In his last fight, he knocked out Artur Spilka. He gets in with Alan the Savage Babic, who is 11-0 with 10 KOs. So their combined records 25-0 with 23 KOs. You'd expect it not to go the 12 rounds that it's listed for. In his last fight, Babic went the distance for the only time in his career, and he was down himself in round 1 against Adam Bałski, who obviously is a Polish fighter. This time he's back in Poland fighting another Polish fighter, so it could be interesting. I'm going to favour Rozanski for the knockout, but it's going to definitely be interesting. It always is when the Savage is in the ring. Moving out now to the York Hall Bethnal Green. Just one fight to mention on Saturday. We're going to see Lerone Richards, friend of the show, 16-0. This is so bizarre. I don't know if it's actually happening or not, but I mean, I just don't know what's happening with his career, but I'm going to mention the fight because, like I say, friends of the show always get their fights mentioned forever until they retire. And Lerone Richards is listed that he's supposed to be having a 6-round contest. No opponent announced just yet for him. And I'm almost hoping that it's not going ahead, because he shouldn't be having fights like this. I mean, he's coming off wins against Carlos Gongora, Giovanni De Carolis, Lennox Clark, Tommy Langford. Good fighters at a good level. He's the IBO super middleweight champion, or at least he was. I don't know if he's vacated that or whatever, but he's a former European champion, former British champion, Commonwealth champion. He shouldn't be having a non-title bout, in a 6-rounder at York Hall with no opponent literally 2 days before the fight. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him. This is a guy who's 16-0, one of the best fighters we've got in the UK. He needs to get moving, though. He really does. He's been around for a long time now, Lerone. Been a pro since 2013, so yeah, 10 years, man. 16 fights, not good enough. Yeah, that's about it for that one. Moving out now to this one. It goes down at the Cardiff International Arena in Cardiff, Wales, United Kingdom. I'm going to try and fly through this one real quick as well. We've got friend of the show, Sky Nicholson, 6-0. She gets in with Linda Laura Lecker, who's 15-6 with 2 draws. I'd expect Sky Nicholson to probably win that one on points. Still yet to get her first knockout as a pro. And the lady she gets in with as well, Linda Lecker, she boxed in her last fight, Raven Chapman, went the distance with her, but she's only been knocked out one time in her 6 losses, and that was back in 2014. So it's been 8 years, or sorry, I'm getting it mixed up, we're in 2023. It's been 9 years, so I doubt she's going to get knocked out by Sky Nicholson, who hasn't yet knocked anyone out. Sky was actually at the show I was at York Hall. I had a look at her in person for the first time. She's absolutely tiny. She looks kind of big on the TV, kind of tall and stuff, lanky for the weight, but she was tiny, man. I was just looking at her frame thinking, I just can't imagine her like knocking anyone out, but obviously I'm sure she will at some point in her career, because yeah, she's a good athlete and the rest of it. Elsewhere on the card as well, Sandy Ryan, 5-1, trained by Clifton Mitchell. All the best to them lot. It's for the vacant WBO World Welterweight title, so a chance here for Sandy Ryan to become world champion in just her 7th fight. She gets in with the undefeated Mary Hall, who is 8-0 with a draw. That's over 10-2s, of course. Moving up the card once again, a good heavyweight scrap for the IBF European title. We've got Jordan Thompson, 14-0, undefeated. He gets in with friend of the show, Luke the Duke Watkins, 16-2. So over 10 rounds there at cruiserweight. Jordan Thompson has been looking good, knocking everyone out, really impressing. But obviously in his last fight, he was clinging on for dear life against Vasyl Dukar. He was down in round 10 and, clinging on literally in that last round. Vasyl Dukar can punch, but we've seen him come here to the UK and lose, quite wide to the likes of Chris Billum-Smith. But Luke the Duke Watkins, like I say, friend of the show, he can punch as well, but he's fell off a little bit as well, hasn't really done much in the last few years apart from losing to Lawrence Okoli and Isaac Chamberlain, who I just mentioned. But yeah, I think probably Jordan Thompson there, probably by stoppage, but should be good. Luke the Duke Watkins never had a great gas tank. Moving up the card once again, we've got Zelfa Barrett, 28-2 in his first fight since losing to Shavkatson Rakhimov, who we'll get onto in a moment. He's in his first fight back. I can't remember what happened for him in that fight, but I'm sure he got injured or whatever. I wonder if he's 100% better. I think something happened with his leg or whatever. But anyway, gets in with Jason Sanchez, who's a late replacement for Alex Dilmagani. Jason Sanchez from Albuquerque, New Mexico, steps in. His record 16-3, 9 KOs, never been stopped in his 3 losses. Been in there with Oscar Valdez, Christopher Diaz, and Adam Lopez. They're all tough, sturdy guys. None of them were able to get him out of there. Lost to Valdez unanimously over 12. He was down in that fight but got back up. Lost to Christopher Diaz unanimously and lost a majority decision over 10 to Adam Lopez. Since then he's come back with a win. That was in February of this year, and he gets in with Zelfa Barrett. Yes, I'd expect Zelfa Barrett probably to win that one on points, but yeah, that's worth throwing in a little parlay, I think. We've got the rematch between Gavin Gwynn and Craig Woodruff. Last time, obviously, went to the distance and we saw a draw. It's obviously for the British lightweight title. Like I said, Sam Noakes certainly wants the winner. That's a fight we'd love to see, but we've got to get this one out the way first. made the best Welshman win. And getting on to the main event, Shavkatson Rakhimov 17-0 with a draw. It's a defense of his IBF World Super Featherweight title against former champion Joe Cordina, who was stripped of the belt simply because he sustained a hand injury and couldn't fight Rakhimov. So they stripped him. Rakhimov fought Zelfa Barrett. Zelfa Barrett was doing brilliant in the fight, dropped Rakhimov, but then ended up getting stopped himself. And here we go. It's Rakhimov against Cordina finally. Over 12 rounds, obviously. Joe Cordina once again gets another opportunity back in Wales in front of his home crowd. Last time we seen him fight, it was in Wales in front of his home crowd back in Cardiff. Was able to knock out in spectacular fashion Kenichi Ogawa. However, Rakhimov is such an underrated fighter. 14 KOs from his 17 wins. He's got that one draw to Joseph Jojo Diaz, which a lot of people felt he deserved to get the nod that night, but didn't get it. Beat Zelfa Barrett last time out. That showed us something there. He had to get off the deck to do that. He started the fight awfully, but he warmed into it. Gets in with Cordina. I tell you what, Cordina to win on points is a decent price. You can double your money there. And Rakhimov to win on points is worth a little punt as well. Obviously, like I say, Joe Cordina coming off that hand injury. I think it was quite severe, and a lot of people are worrying about how he's going to look. Some people saying that it was quite a bad injury that he had. They think he's going to probably try and box, and some people I think are getting a little bit carried away with the stoppage win that he got against Ogawa. That was just probably the best shot he's going to ever throw in his entire career, because it was such a perfectly timed shot. Feinted with the jab, didn't he? Come over the top with a right hand. It was a peach of a shot. It was beautiful. And but that's not really what he's about. He's not a big puncher really in my eyes. He's more of a distance fighter, which sounds mad. I mean, he's 15-0 with 9 KOs, so maybe it sounds harsh. But I know Cordina. I know that Cordina isn't going to bang people out at the top level, I don't think. And even though he did it to Ogawa, I don't think he's going to do it to Rakhimov. So I think it goes a distance. Should be a good one. Definitely don't miss it. It's going to be good there in Cardiff. And moving now to the final 2 cards to mention. We're going to start here with this one at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut, USA over here. Friend of the show, the mighty midget Tremaine Williams, 20-1. Haven't spoke to Tremaine for quite a while. I remember he boxed Angelo Leo for the vacant, I think it was a vacant world title at the time, if I'm not mistaken, but came up short against Angelo Leo. That's where he lost his O. And I think after that he was supposed to box in Ghana at some point, but it didn't happen, and he's been very inactive. That Angelo Leo fight was back in August 2020. He's only had 1 fight since then, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but he returns to the ring. It's good to see him back. It's for the vacant WBC Silver Super Bantamweight title against Elijah Pierce, who's 16-2 with 14 KOs there, so that could be quite an interesting one. All the best there to the mighty midget. He needs to be mighty to win that one. Moving out now though to the final card to mention. It takes place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. It's going to be live on DAZN. I think it's DAZN pay-per-view in the US, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. But anyway, on the undercard, Lorenzo Simpson. No surprise to see him there. He's obviously from Baltimore. 12-0. He gets in with Pacino Hill, who's 8-1 with a draw. That's an interesting first name, Pacino. That's over 6 rounds there at middleweight. Moving up the card once again. Oh, I forgot about this fight, Eddie. We can't spend too long on it because we want to get to the main event. But Bektamir Melikuziev, 11-1, the rematch. Bek the Bully against Gabe Rosado, 26-16 with a draw. Over 10 rounds. Gabe Rosado was supposed to fight Gilberto Ramirez at super middleweight. If you remember, Ramirez came in about 14 pounds overweight, and Rosado said, yeah, the fight's off. So Rosado was left frustrated, didn't get to fight, but was ready to fight. A massive fighter. He gets in with Melikuziev, who he knocked out in the first fight in what was a tremendous knockout win. How do you see it going, Eddie?
I don't know much about. I don't even think I saw that one, and I'm ashamed to say it.
No. You did. Cast your mind back.
Okay.
Gabe Rosado, man, he got knockout of, I think it was 2021. He was losing the first 2 rounds to Melakuziev, Beck the Bully, as we all call him, and Gabe walked him onto a shot in the corner, knocked him spark out. You don't remember that?
Damn, it really escapes me. Oh my gosh. Now, Joe, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to go and look at it again just so it can kind of remind me of what happened. But I vaguely remember a fight like that. But I for some reason right now, hey, look, I have a career, man. I had a career getting punched in the head, but I didn't get punched that much. But still, I'm sorry, Joe. I'm drawing a blank here. I don't know why, but anytime Gabe Rosado gets in the ring, I know it's going to be exciting. He's coming to fight. Being that he knocked the guy out in the first fight, you would think, you expect that to happen again. Well, like you were saying, he was getting beat the first 2 rounds, which he's already on the decline, and I'm pretty sure he's declined even a bit more since that fight, which was a couple of years ago. So I'm not going to say I don't know what has happened with the Beck the Bully in the last year or so, how many fights he's had. I really haven't paid attention, but I would think that if he was winning the first fight, he's probably going to be in the same position. But I think he's going to have to be a lot more careful and walking on to Gabe Rosado. Obviously, he's a good puncher. He's a tough guy. He's not going to give up the opportunity. Shows himself he's going to take it. He's got a ton of experience. So, attacking in a foolish way, thinking that you might have a guy like him without being conscious of defense, always need to be defensively conscious, no matter what the situation is with the fighter. There's been fights I've seen where guys have been completely in control and get caught with a shot they don't see coming. Obviously, that's the situation that happened the first time they fought. He's going to have to approach it in a different way. Obviously, I'm a Philly guy, Philly and Pittsburgh guy, so I definitely want to see Gabe win it and do his thing. But the way, the smart money, I think, I can't really say the smart money, I'm not sure what he's been up to recently, would be with the guy who was winning. You know what I mean? Who's capable of winning, who hasn't slowed. I imagine he's a bit younger, a good bit younger, and probably doesn't have the same amount of tough fights that Gabe does. So I would think that would probably be where you would want to go.
Yeah, like I say, the first fight took place June of 2021, so yeah, almost 2 years ago. At the time, Beck the Bully was 7-0 with 6 KOs, got him with Rosado. Rosado was down in round 1 and was just taking a beating really, and then walked Melakuziev onto a shot that was probably the best punch that Rosado's thrown of his career, knocked him out. It was an unbelievable shot. It was knockout of the year 2021. Like, you definitely saw it. We were going crazy about it at the time. Since then, Beck the Bully has had 4 fights. He won one of them unanimous decision, 8 rounds. Since then, he's knocked out a guy in round 2, round 3, and round 3. Rosado in that time has also had 3 fights. He's gone the distance and lost all 3 to Shane Mosley Jr., Jaime Munguia, and Ali Akhmadov most recently. So there's 2 interesting things to factor here. So firstly, the odds, right? So Gabe Rosado knocked him out in the first fight. Gabe Rosado to win by knockout is 12-1. Now, Melakuziev hasn't looked vulnerable as such. I think he just got a little bit careless against Rosado and just walked into a shot, like I say. So I don't think it necessarily means that, it's going to happen again, and you should put your life savings on that 12-1 bet. But it's certainly worth a small punt, and that is going to be in the back of Melakuziev's mind. Being knocked out by Rosado, that's going to be in his mind, and I think he's going to be a little bit more cautious this time. He has to be. He's not going to go recklessly like he did before. But also, Rosado, he hasn't been stopped since 2014 against David Lemieux. So basically, what I'm trying to highlight is Rosado to win by knockout is 12-1, and Beck the Bully to win on points is 9-2. So that's like 4.5-1. I think that's a brilliant bet. I really do. I think that's a brilliant bet there. Because if he knocks Rosado out, that's a big statement. Even though Rosado is obviously, we've been saying he's been finished for years, but he is still in. He still hasn't been stopped for such a long time, and he's almost touching 10 years of not being stopped. And he was going to fight, Gilberto Ramirez, which obviously would have been a tougher task than Melakuziev. So this is, he's more suited, obviously, at this weight here, which is back down at, where is it? Super middle. So yeah, he's more comfortable there. And yeah, he would have been in shape to fight Ramirez, So he's probably had quite a long training camp. I'd imagine he's in really good shape. He's always in good shape, to be honest, but I'd imagine he's in double good shape. So I think Bektemir Melakuziev could win this one on points at 9-2, but I think it's worth a small punt on Rosado at 12-1 just because he did it before. I think those prices are really good. And also, if you don't want to risk it that much, then you can bet on the over-under, which is at 5.5 rounds. You can go over that at evens, which again I think is brilliant. Like, wow, I think honestly that's the value of the weekend. Honestly, it really is. If he knocks out Rosado or the fight gets stopped within 5.5 rounds, I think that'd be crazy. But 9-2, man, that's incredible odds for Melakuziev. It's like they're trying to say he's definitely gonna knock him out. I mean, yeah, his record's currently 11-1. He's got 9 KOs, but yeah, didn't knock out Rosado, didn't knock out Sergei Ekimov, and didn't knock out Vaughn Alexander, who's another tough guy as well, but was stopped by Zach Parker. So honestly, I think there's value there, man. But yeah, don't go massive on it, guys. But anyway, elsewhere on the card, it's good to see him out once again. The WBA World Super Middleweight Champion David Morrell, 8-0. He gets in there with Yamaguchi Falcao, who's 24-1 with a draw. They're expecting Morrell to get Falcao out of there early. And then the main event, Eddie, I'm going to come to you straight away, and I'm not going to say much on it myself, but Gervonta Tank Davis, 28-0. Ryan Garcia, 23-0. 12 rounds at, wow, is it a 140? No.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. Oh, no.
Wow.
Is it? I think it might be a catch weight. I think it's a catch weight. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. Maybe because I know they were talking about Ryan Garcia having to, make a certain weight that may not be as comfortable for him. I think so because he was fighting 35 before, and then, now he moved up to 140. So I'm thinking that it's like a catch weight or something.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize Ryan had moved to 140. He's had he's had a couple fights there now, hasn't he? Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay, all right. Anyway, straight to you, Eddie, then. Catch weight, 140, whatever. Weight aside, let's discuss it. Ryan Garcia, extremely confident. 19 KOs from his 23 wins. Gervonta Tank Davis, 28-0, 26 KOs. Obviously, the southpaw. Ryan, the much bigger guy. Go on, Eddie.
It's a hell of a matchup. A nice contrast, kind of. Somewhat in styles, size difference, puts a bit of a puzzle into it. I think early rounds are going to go to Ryan. I think, Tank is going to be looking to figure him out. He's, trying to break range, trying to find, the lane to get in and what's the easiest or, the best possible way to attack and break that range of that distance that Ryan is going to obviously want to keep. Keep Tank from getting into position to land good shots to the body, head, whatever. So I think some early rounds are definitely going to go to Ryan Garcia. He's talented outside boxer. Good jab, really sharp speed, good punching power too. If he can get you on end of his shots. Even pretty decent body punch. I've seen him stop. He stopped Luke Campbell with the body shot, was pretty good. And I mean, he's just, he's a pretty good puncher. He can stop you with whatever if he lands it right. But I think the challenge will be him once he gets to the middle rounds. If Tank's able to start to figure him out by then, which you kind of expect that. I expect that to happen. Him to figure out the range, kind of like what he was doing with Hector Luis Garcia early on. It was. He caught Tank with some good shots. Garcia did. The other Garcia, Hector Luis. showed his ability, his skill level, and making it tough for Tank to find his range. But then once he found it and started landing those bombs, it was just, it was all she wrote. And I think that's going to be the similar thing that's going to happen in this fight. But I think it's going to be a bit tougher for Tank to be able to find it with Ryan. I think the downfall with Ryan Garcia is going to come when he tries to start punching down. If Tank's able to make him miss a few shots, you know what I mean, and start looking for punches, looking to land shots, especially like with the right hand from a distance, trying to punch down at him, I think is where he's gonna have the problem. I think that if Ryan, like I said, tries to punch down instead of bending his knees, getting into a solid, sturdy position and keeping him on the end of his shots, if he stands straight up, looking over his shots like he often does, which is the reason why I picked Tank to beat him and stop him probably mid to late rounds, is because I think he fights tall, which is okay. But if you're fighting tall and you have no solid base under you, you're not bent, you're not using your range, it's all for naught. You just become a big target. And I think Tank eventually is going to get him into that position. I've seen every fight he's had up to this point, especially the ones I've seen him looking over top of his punches, punching down a lot. And he's paid for it with Luke Campbell once. He got caught doing it then. And Luke Campbell caught him with a beautiful shot. And Luke Campbell's a good fighter, so you kind of expect that. I don't say expect Garcia to get dropped, but expect him to be able to take advantage of an opportunity like he did there. But I just think that as good a fighter as Luke Campbell was, he wasn't able to get him out of there and capitalize on the opportunity there. If Tank gets him in the same position, the fight's over. He's gone. He's going to be gone. Unless, the right or left hand of God comes down and saves him. I really don't think that if he gets caught with a shot like that or put in a position like that he's going to be able to come back from it. I think he's going to have to be able to use range, but at the same time be solid and sturdy. He has to keep Tank from getting any ground and landing any clean shots without paying for something, for breaking that range. He cannot go past arm's length for Ryan Garcia without paying a price. He has to. If he doesn't, he's going to be asleep. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think the way he fights, how he fights really tall, really long, has good power, good skills. But I just think at the end of the day, Tank is going to get in the position he needs to get into. I think him punching down is going to put him at a disadvantage at times. And I think he's going to end up getting caught. How he does after that remains to be seen. But I think Tank gets him out probably mid to late rounds. But if it does go to decision, man, I don't know if Tank will be able to get this one out. But I'm expecting Tank to end up stopping him mid to late rounds.
Yeah, I think that's a popular pick. Tank, a little bit of a late starter. He's getting that kind of reputation these days. I'm not going to really add much more to it, Eddie. I think it's a fantastic fight, obviously. It's two of the best, two of the most exciting, two of the most, I guess, biggest fan base fighters at the weight as well. Great to see, just two guys getting it on, really. This is the acid test as well for Ryan Garcia, who obviously wants to be attached to all those names like your Devin Haney's, the Teofimo Lopez's, and all the rest of them. Well, I think we name them almost every week. We're talking about this bunch of guys. Shakur Stevenson. I think I might have left one out, but what is it? Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia. I don't know if I've left someone out, but there's four guys there. Well, there's an odd thing out about Ryan Garcia. He's the only one who hasn't won a world title yet. So this is not a world title fight, unfortunately, but this certainly will go a long, long way if he can beat Gervonta Davis. So we'll see. But yeah, I think I'd favour Gervonta. I'd favour Gervonta, obviously, by a stoppage. That's what he does. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. You talk about that punching down thing. I wonder if there's going to be an opportunity for Gervonta to land one of those uppercuts that he landed on Leo Santa Cruz. That would be nasty. But yeah, should be a great fight. Just thoroughly looking forward to it as a fan. But yeah, I think Ryan Garcia, he'll want to start fast, and he's certainly got the power, certainly got the size to cause Gervonta tons and tons of problems. But we'll see. We'll see how he deals with it. He's a very capable fighter, really good defense and really good counter-punching abilities. And it's just going to be a great fight. But yeah, I don't think it goes the distance. It's going to be interesting, though. Tough to pick. I wouldn't really want to go heavy either way. But I think Gervonta probably to win, in my opinion. But yeah. Anyway, that's about it though for the preview part. This show's dragged out a lot longer than I thought it would. In part 1 we did the review part, then we spoke to this week's special guest, the undefeated and undisputed super lightweight female world champion, Chantelle Cameron. She's fighting Katie Taylor May 20th, not too long to wait now. And then in part 2 we did the news part, and I've just wrapped up the preview part with Eddie just there. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 392 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A huge shout out to this week's special guest, the undefeated and undisputed super lightweight female world champion, Miss Chantelle Cameron. The biggest thanks of all, though, goes out to you, the listeners. That's about everything from myself. This time next week, when we're back with the next show, it will have been my birthday. It's my birthday on Tuesday, so I ask you all for just one present, if you don't mind. Just give me one spare minute of your time. Please leave us a review on iTunes if you do get the time. If you don't, then it's nothing personal. I'm sure that you've got other things to do, but it would really mean a lot to me as a birthday present for my birthday on Tuesday that you just please leave us a review on iTunes. But that's about everything from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we shall see you this time next week.